Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we'll be going through a real CI/CD pipeline within AWS. So a git push to GitHub will trigger an AWS code pipeline. Code pipeline will pull from the source, hand it to code build, deploy the finished site to S3, and serve it through CloudFront. Along the way, I'll explain the whole GitHub connection and how that works, and explain through the services and the actual requirement we have pulling through to eventually deploy a website like this. So now we get into the architecture. So as I said, the source will be GitHub. We'll have a webhook into CodePipeline, which will be monitoring when something is pushed to the main branch. We will then build the container or the code needed in code build, and then once it's finished, it will upload it to S3 and then deploy the website. Here's a little bit more advanced, more zoned in on the actual permissions and the services we'll be using. So we've got the code pipeline. We need to set up roles to allow code pipeline to build these things and code build to also build them. We'll then store the artifacts. So that's things like the actual build assets that we'll be building within S3. And then we've also got CloudFront, which actually serves the S3 so we can access it over HTTPS to our end users to a CloudFront domain like this one. Perfect. So the first thing we'll be doing is setting up the connection between our AWS account and our GitHub account. To do this, we'll navigate to CodePipeline, navigating down to Settings and then Connections. First thing then is click Create Connection. GitHub for this demo, and just give it a name. So I'm going to call it GitHub Connection Demo. Connect to GitHub. Now I'm already logged into my GitHub account, so it should automatically find it and connect it up. But if not, if you click connect, it will open up your GitHub account and you'll have to log in, and that's how it will connect up. Clicking connect, we can see the status is available. If it says pending, just bear with, and it should only take a couple of seconds to do. Another step we need to take is enabling our GitHub account to accept this connection. So we can see that I've got a request in settings installations. I'm going to click configure. I'm going to review the request, and I'm going to accept the permissions of reading this environment to be able to trigger the pipelines. I have set it just to all repositories now, rather than just the selected ones. But yeah, you can choose whichever you want, if you want it scoped or whether you want it a bit more broad. So I can see now it's available and connected. I'm now going to copy the ARN number. So copying that. So as always, I will be using infrastructure as code, using Terraform to deploy this infrastructure, and I'll ensure to put it in the description of the channel so you guys can copy and follow along. The first thing I'll do is copy the Terraform TFRs example to a terraform.tfrs. So these will be our variables of things we'll be using for today in this demo. So I'm going to replace the connection on with the one I just got from AWS. It's also important then to update your GitHub owner and your repository name. The AI has already found mine and done it for me. So if I navigate to my GitHub, I can see my owner's FrazzleMate and my YouTube channel. My repository is called YouTube. So once that's all set up, we can navigate to main and run a Terraform init. This will initialize all the packages with AWS to pull down things so we can run the Terraform code. It should only take a couple seconds for me. Perfect. And then we can now run a Terraform apply. So as we can see, this is outputted the things it's going to be building. So the S3 buckets, the website repository for it, the artifacts, the roles and policies and permissions for code build and code pipeline. So yeah, if I start that build, we can now see it starting to build that infrastructure out for me. If I now navigate back to AWS, we should hopefully start seeing some things being built. So in CodePipeline, I'm going to go to now pipelines. And we can see I've now got a CodePipeline GitHub demo pipeline, and it is currently in progress. So Click into here, we can see it's grabbed the files from GitHub. It's now building the files with code build, and eventually when it all succeeds, it will then deploy it to S3, where then we can access it over the browser. If I now navigate to code build, we can see the logs of what it's currently doing. So it's running a make directory. It's now copying files from my GitHub into that directory, and it's now also making a build time date, so we can add that into the file so we can see when it was last built. So how it's getting all this information is something called a buildspec.yaml file, or a YML file. So if I click into this, it's important that this is at the root of your repository. If it's not, it won't find it and it won't run these commands for you. Things are split off into phases. I'm not installing anything because it's a very simple web app, but this is where you could do like your npm commands to install certain JavaScript modules. I'm now got a build command, so this is where the code build does its thing, where we just showed the make directory, the copying of the files, and the setting of the date to the current time now. So if I now navigate back to the Terraform code, we can still see it's building. I'll come back in the video when this is finished deploying. Perfect, so as we can see, the Terraform is completed. It took about 2 minutes 40 seconds to deploy. And we can see the Terraform outputs here has given us a website URL. I copy that and navigate to my browser, enter that in. We can see that this is a website which is hosted in S3 and then fronted by CloudFront has now deployed us this. So navigating over to the pipeline, if we can see what this has done, so it's executed 8 minutes ago, grabbed it from GitHub, built it with code build, and installed it in S3 as well. So to just demo this pipeline a bit further, we're going to change the code to make it a different color, and then push the update to main, and then from main it will then trigger the hook in this source that will then rebuild it because it's noticed a change to main, a push to main. So within the code base, there's a demo app folder. There's a styles and there's a styles live. I'm going to delete the styles and rename this one to styles like that. We can see that this is pulling this down here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add this to the Git. So if I was to add styles CSS, it might want the full path. So if I did demo app source styles, expand it, there we go, git commit, give it a message to say updated color scheme, and then if we push this to main, perfect, so we've pushed that to main now, that should be on the GitHub, and then as you can see this has already started, it's triggered the source, it's triggered the build. It's just going to go grab the files now, and then it's going to build, and then it's going to deploy again. See, it's now updated and deployed. As far as to refresh, we can see now the page is updated to go to green. And that's kind of how that whole communication between GitHub, CodePipeline, and those services work to then deploy it. So navigating back to the code now, once we're done, I'm now just going to show how to tidy everything up and destroy everything we created just to save costs, but feel free to adapt this code and update it based on what you want to do with it. But I'm just going to Terraform destroy and then a Terraform, then just a yes to destroy it all. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. So in this one I demonstrated how to create a code pipeline using AWS CodePipeline, connect it to GitHub and show update based on the push and the deployment. Thank you.